Good morning, Eric Boehlert.
Hey, good morning.
Yeah, this is the first time you can kind of feel the panic at the NRA, right?
Well, yeah, particularly if you were on Twitter last night, they did this rollout of a whole bunch of these really weird talking to the camera. Dana Loesch, Wayne LaPierre, they're out to get us. We're going to declare civil. I mean, they've been doing those videos for about the last year, and we can talk about why, because you mentioned in that headline. They're doing it because they're trying to get in the cultural war business because gun manufacturers are going bankrupt because Obama's not there to scare everyone to take away their guns. So Trump is awful for the gun business, bottom line.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that something that, in the past, you're right, the gun sales soared, sadly, after these incidents because they're like, oh, the black guy's coming to get our guns.
Right.
But
we can't have that. He's too smooth.
Yeah. But, Eric, I mean, we were just talking about comedians leading the resistance, but I mean, Alec Baldwin, doing Trump talking about, like, I'm taking the guns, forget due process. I mean, you can't make this up, right?
Yeah, I mean, Trump did his usual incoherency plan last week, and for about 24 hours the press went along because that's what they always do, and we saw all these gasping headlines about how Trump was going to break with the NRA, and it turned out to be a total joke. Literally nothing he says is of any significance or of any importance on any issue.
Right, the same people that believed he actually wanted a bill of love on immigration.
Right, and now this morning, well, maybe we won't do a trade war if we write NAFTA. I mean, I don't even know why journalists bother typing up this stuff. But last week he had that ridiculous roundtable. He complete incoherence from Trump about guns. He has no idea. He has literally no idea that Obama could not get a background check bill passed that had 90% public support because Republicans would not allow a vote. I mean, he's just so clueless about everything. But the press went along for like 24, 48 hours until Trump brought in the NRA for a little private meeting. Trump came out and basically abandoned everything he had said. Mitch McConnell this week will not allow any vote or any debate on any gun bill. They're going to talk about a banking bill. So the whole thing is going nowhere, and Trump has tried to play that game last week. But look, the NRA, the Republican Party has just bought and paid for, and it's amazing. There is such a radical disconnect. The NRA just gets more and more radical after these shootings, and the American public becomes more and more liberal.
And you tweeted...
60% of Republicans. 60% of Republicans in a poll last week want to ban assault weapons in the United States.
Yeah.
Banning assault weapons is now almost the new background check bill. Everyone wants to do it, which is an amazing shift in the last 4 months.
Yeah. Well, and you tweeted, you can't make this up. Entire Florida GOP is bought and paid for by the NRA, period. Breaking amendment to ban assault weapons just failed in the Florida Senate. Immediately afterward, members stood to observe a moment of silence in honor of the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas students. I mean, it is, and these kids see it, right? I mean, after that happened, they approved the ban and then 15 minutes later rescinded it. Cameron Kasky tweeted, Florida is not disheartened by the pathetic choices made by our lawmakers. We're simply excited to kick them out and save our own lives. We have more hope now than ever. We have a very clear understanding of who's with us and who's against us.
Yeah, I mean, the lines are completely drawn. I mean, Rick Scott in Florida is trying to blur the lines, trying to get something passed, raising the gun buying age to 21. So he doesn't look like a complete NRA shill, which he has been for the last 8 years. But it's amazing. There was, they had a debate over the weekend at the Florida House and Senate. Yesterday, there was a Republican woman got up and she said, "Thoughts and prayers are the only way we're going to stop these mass shootings." So it's been edifying, and I think it's edifying for these kids that they went up to Tallahassee, and these Tallahassee legislators said, not only are we not going to ban assault weapons, we're going to arm your teachers. So in a very scary and dangerous way, they're going to make it worse. They're not going to fix the problem. They're going to make it actively worse by trying to flood the schools with more guns. So, yeah, I mean, in terms of the election and in terms of where people stand, particularly in Florida, it could not be more clear.
Eric, what was I going to say that? Yeah, we're out here in Hollywood, and when a Hollywood agency grows a soul, you know something is happening. But ICM has said they're going to stop using FedEx. So even these companies that are standing with the NRA, there are other companies going, okay, well, we're going to make our own choices now.
Oh, good for them. I mean, FedEx makes a ton of money shipping guns all around this country. That's the only reason they refused to take a stand, because it was going to hit their bottom line in a very significant way, unlike some other companies which, decided to make a stand for various reasons. FedEx decided the money was more worth it. So I'm glad. That's great that ICM and other companies are saying, oh, you know what? There's other.
Yes.
We have an option.
I'm rethinking.
I'm the only one with an airplane fleet in this country.
I'm rethinking my firing them many years ago. That's a whole nother story. But Stephen King tweeted, hey kids, the House and Senate aren't going to do anything about guns. Neither is the president a morally vacant boob who will say anything. We have to do it ourselves. Get as many NRA sweethearts out as possible in November. We can do this. I mean, Eric, it does feel like this is only adding to the wave, the female Me Too, Time's Up wave, right? Uh-oh. Oh, we lost the call. I don't know what happened. Eric Boehlert's back, so what can be wrong? Hello, Eric.
My bad. Sorry about that.
Oh, no worries. Anyway, we were obviously on the gun debate, but I was talking about this wave that's, obviously you have the energy of these kids now joined with the Me Too Time's Up movement, right?
Yeah, I mean, again, back to Governor Scott. He wants to run for senator. Wants to take on Governor Nelson, and Scott has an A+ rating in Florida from the NRA, and Nelson has an F rating.
Right.
And even though these kids might not all yet be legally able to vote, I guarantee they're going to keep an eye on their race. So Rick Scott is going to have to win the Senate over the Parkland kids and over that movement. And that's just one example. And hopefully that will spread. There's a very interesting piece over the weekend. The former Ohio Republican Attorney General wrote this very personal piece in the Cleveland Plain Dealer, apologizing basically for being in the pocket of the NRA and apologizing for his votes and apologizing for backing the NRA. And he said, it's hard to understand the pressure you're under as a Republican from NRA members. He said they are just absolutely fanatical. He said, forget about Social Security being the third rail. These people are fanatical, and hopefully, we don't want fanatics on our side, but we want people who take gun safety and things like that and put it right at the top with taxes and immigration and fairness and everything, and vote based on it. And I think we're finally going to see that this November, and there's no question.
Yeah. I don't know which, pick your favorite piece of the White House has descended into madness, Eric, but obviously a number of people have written stories about just the unraveling, the chaos, the whatever. I think we keep wondering, like, is this the beginning of the end? Is this obviously more and more ominous Mueller stories by the day, right?
Yeah, I mean, last week, what was it? I mean, last week was the elephant in the room. Last week was Mueller, according to NBC report, is looking at what Trump knew about the hacked email.
Yeah.
And not only what did his campaign help disseminate, did Trump himself know that those emails were stolen before they were published? I mean, that's an amazing allegation. And as at least one former federal prosecutor on MSNBC said last week, if Trump knew that, then he's part of a conspiracy crime. And there's absolutely no way he could survive as president, and he probably could be indicted.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Mueller is really drilling down to what's going on here. And I've said before, look, he got the Manafort stuff. He got the Russians for the meddling, the 13 Russians. Next he's going to do who stole the emails. Next he's going to do what did the Trump campaign know. And eventually I think he'll do obstruction. And that will be his lineup, and it will be devastating. But until then, we just don't know. So we do see this drip, drip, drip. We saw some, White House aides last week saying, even this is crazy. We've never seen him like this. His entire staff is gone.
Yeah.
Everyone. Yeah. No one. Even Nixon at the height of Watergate did not have people jumping ship or or well, in Nixon's case, they were going to jail. But I mean, this is off the charts. It's unprecedented. You know, as I tweeted last week, you get the sense it's basically him and Sarah Sanders wandering the hall.
Yeah.
And that's what they're left with. And this trade war, just real quick, you know, no one knew he was going to do it. He had no prepared statement. No one had told anyone in Congress. No one had reached out to the State Department. No one had told the Treasury Department. John Kelly didn't even know the people who were in the room with Trump when he made this announcement. And now we're saying he might walk it all back. So, I mean, the whole thing is amateur hour, but it all revolves around Mueller and what Mueller
well, it does.
Freaking out, and that's why people are leaving. You think Hope Hicks suddenly decided, gee, I think I want to do something else with my life?
Well, the thing I've always said that in terms of the Mueller clock, Eric, is North Korea, among others, right? I mean, Lindsey Graham's out there saying, oh, it'd be worth it. A war with North Korea would be worth it. Right. There's murmurs of a military strike. I mean, this is, Travis and I have learned not to say, oh, we've hit bottom now. Just when you think this can't get worse, you're like, oh no, he will do something more lunatic every day, right? Right.
The best case scenario is it unravels. He's incoherent. The White House staff leaves and he gets indicted. The worst case scenario is all that it happens and he okays a military strike of some catastrophic consequences. So there's certainly all of that. Is a possibility because he's clearly not a stable person. But for now, it does seem to be the first part, which is it's just slowly going to unravel. He can't get people who's going to come work at that White House right now.
Yeah.
Those interesting peaks last week. Even people have jumped ship. They're not getting very good jobs. I mean, the entire D.C. economy, white collar economy, revolved around you go to the White House. You put that on your resume, and then you're set for life.
We said that.
It's having the exact opposite.
We were saying that last week, that you could, leave a blank and just almost put anything. Like I went on a killing spree. I was in rehab. Anything looks better than I was at the Trump White House.
Sabbatical. Yeah. And so, I mean, it's completely upended, half a century of how that town works.
Yep.
And Hope Hicks leaving, and could you imagine if John Kelly left, and now we're hearing McMaster's is going to go. So look, I mean, the whole thing is going exactly as you and me and lots of other people suggested it would. It's in complete collapse. He's incoherent, and there's nothing. We're all just waiting for Mueller at this point. I think.
Yeah, exactly. All right, thank you, Eric. Talk to you soon.
Okay, have a great week.
All right, thank you. You too. Ay, ay, ay.